First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for coming along to visit the theatre, and he's welcoming everybody. It's one of the major theatres within the area. The theatre was opened approximately 150 years ago and stood the test of time. Below the theatre here is a burial ground of the Dominican friars, which is all part of the historic area. You might see a ghost or two, that's possible.
There was a malediction, and two times will burn the theatre without persons, and the third one will be a lot of persons inside. And now two times was burned with persons, and one time is missing.
Oh, okay. One person?
No, one person. No, one time is missing to burn.
150 years ago, this theatre was opened, and they said it's on October 27 de October? 25 on the 25th of October, 150 years ago, it was opened by Queen Isabella II of Spain, with a great deal of sort of pomp and circumstance. So it was a really big event for the area. This is the most modern part of the theatre, which was all renovated after the last fire, and as you can see, it's been renovated to a standard that reflects the way the theatre once was. You know, one of this was repainted. Los artistas locales. Sí. Some local artists who wanted the time to come and renovate this part of the theatre. The three here, paintings here, represent three of the seasons, not four of the seasons. It's the autumn, spring and summer. We don't do winter here anymore. The main reason is that the end of the summer in October, right through until the spring, they didn't work in the theatre. Right. The theatre is used quite considerably in the fiestas in September, and also in June for the fiesta of Corpus Christi, which in Spain these are major fiestas, and los cuartos es abierto por todos en las fiestas.
No, o sea, estaba cerrado, o sea, la gente sí estaba abierto, por supuesto, para los locos.
So, as we said before, this is it forms an integral part of the community of Murcia, because it's used quite considerably for. There's 8 other.
Al mismo tiempo estaban los teatros más pequeños.
Small theatres that work throughout. This is like the head office, if you want to call it that, of the small theatres within the Murcia region, and there is obviously. This is what they call the area that you come out to rest during the course of functions within the theatre, so that if you're watching a show, basically this is where we gather, sit down, rest, and just chill out a little bit while we're waiting on the second part or the third part, whatever. And then this is also used. There are certain areas here used as function suites para las bodas, las funciones aquí o otras funciones.
Sí, puede ser.
Yeah. So there are function suites here available, and of course this is used as a kind of staging area when there's function areas. There are 3 basic function rooms in this area. which can be used in the evening for various types of show or celebration. Basically saying that this is the warmest part of the day because they've got natural sunlight coming in here, and it's also good for taking photographs and the type of thing. And at night it can be really quite busy, and a lot of people like to just come here to savour the atmosphere. Okay, we're going to proceed shortly through into the amphitheatre, and from the amphitheatre we can see the whole plan of the theatre and how it's laid out, and saying that this is not only a theatre for the Spanish people, it's for all Europeans to come here and to enjoy. When we go into the amphitheatre there, if you just go in, it's just on more or less on single file, and to go around so that we get a full view and that everyone can see properly. That when the theatre was opened, it was a very important meeting place for the important families of the time here in Murcia, and those of the important families and the political people who would come here on a regular basis, and basically in some ways, as we would say, to see and be seen. It was the main meeting place for a lot of the well-to-do people from the Murcia region. In the 19th century, this was the area where the most important families of the area of Murcia would come to watch the shows on the theatre, and many of the areas were designated for that particular day. Basically, the people had said that the rich families of the area were able to more or less purchase season tickets for this area, and it was always very important to this was exclusively for the true Spanish families. At the time, in the 19th century, that the visitors would have to go elsewhere. This was exclusively for the Spanish families of the area. The first fire took place in the early hours of the morning, so there was no one in the theatre at the time. So therefore there was no fatalities during the first fire. And the second fire took place more or less at the end of the 19th century in December, almost 30 years after the first fire. And as though personas, it was about 3:30 in the afternoon.
Estaba casi lleno. O sea, tenía un aforo bastante grande, había bastante gente en el teatro.
Yeah. So it was during the time when there was a lot of people in the theatre. But although the theatre was in use at the second fire, and there was a lot of people, they were all evacuated from the theatre without any fatality or loss of life. And this was very important. One of the theatre workers who had successfully been evacuated but re-entered the theatre in order to try and take the evening's takings and see the evening's takings. The legend goes that the spirit of this person still remains within the theatre and sometimes can be seen walking in the corridors and so if you see the spirit of the ghost, don't worry. The theatre is named after a very famous Murcian actor, and the other paintings and the paintings in the ceiling were commissioned by him. You can see from there, there's the muses of the artists who performed in the theatre. Some are depicted here in the paintings above, and the muses were the inspiration for many of the people who performed here in this circle. As you can see, right in the centre of the painting there is the bust of the actor Romea.
Está justo en el centro.
In the centre, it's a painting of the bronze of the actor, the famous actor for whom this theatre is named after, and around him is paintings of the muses, the Greek muses are around the bust there of the founder of the theatre. The photographs, medallions, as we call them, of faces, these are of the people who were composers and writers of the day of the 19th century that were very, very important at that time, and the paintings and the names, etc., show that they were very important to the people here and to the community. This curtain, which is sometimes known as the fire curtain, which has been painted, this is one of the oldest of this time in the whole of Spain. ¿Cuántos años?
Desde 1901.
It was painted in 1901, and the condition of this is in very, very good condition when you consider that the theatre is in use quite often. This was donated by a very famous Spanish female artist, actress,
María Guerrero. María
Guerrero is as famous in Spanish theatre as Sarah Bernhardt would be to the British stage. So you can see that she is a very famous person, and this was donated to the theatre. She died in 1928, and this was part of her legacy for this theatre. The third fire really took place in the front part of the theatre, but the majority of the theatre was saved, and it's only the third part there that there is a popular legend here that when the third fire took place, that it was more or less protected by the spirits that had gone before, and therefore that's one of the reasons why this was only the front area that was damaged. The chairs and etc., and the large columns here, as you can see, that are supporting the back there. They didn't have to be bought and used. They were strong enough to keep the theatre. I would like to express his thanks for everybody coming here today, taking time to come to my house, to visit his house, because this is a grand theatre that's very close to his heart, and close to the heart of many people from Murcia, and it hopes that perhaps you will come again on an occasion to come and enjoy some of the performances that take place in this Grand Theatre, and that hope that you have enjoyed this short tour, and wish you all well. Por la Navidad.